Hello my friends, and welcome to part 1 of the SP Deck Challenge deck overviews. So I'll be going ahead and making this a new season, so if you would like, you can I kinda said this, but as a reminder, I'm making this a new season. So if you would like, you can just see what was changed between the loaner deck, the actual loan deck, and like my take on it. Because sometimes it's not just the URs. Sometimes I do have to get rid of a few of the non-URs and SRs if they're just not working with the deck because I took out a crucial UR. Like, example, the Thunder Speed Summon, I think that might be a rare, but because I can't play either one of the searches, I mean, I could maybe find another level 10 that has question mark attack, but I wasn't thinking. And it's kind of too late now. But anyway, but I mean, the ones that specifically called it for the gods, there's really no replacement, so I just had to get rid of them. So, yeah, but here's the original take. The actual how they were actually played. Okay, so this one's called Flying Dragon Champion, and the deck description reads: this deck aims to fusion summon Gaia the Dragon Champion by using cards related to Gaia the Fierce Knight and Curse of Dragon. Check each fusion monster's effects and fusion materials when choosing monsters to be fusion summoned. So I'll go through this deck, and since I'm gonna take it one, basically, 2 decks at a time, which equals out to, one of the duels, since there's my deck and my opponent's deck, just to make sure that I have plenty of time to go over them. And then the video shouldn't be too long either, so I think that should be good for you guys. Because if I did 4, I might run into trouble where I might run into time, because like, the reason why it worked out with like more decks with the regular gates is because I feel like those decks were similar enough to each other, because like half the cards basically were cards I already went over, like, because half the cards were like related to that specific archetype skate. This one, the like mostly gonna be all pretty much completely new, and I'll just basically treat them as completely new every time, and then that way, like, it'll be a little bit more okay that I'm only going through 2 if I just treat them as completely new. And then for those of you who maybe need a refresher, can have that in a way if like I went over cards I already went over. But I may not like spend as much time like if I remember a card, but I'll still like go over it for those who maybe need a refresher or maybe didn't watch that episode, because I know there's people who kind of do pick and choose, which is fine. But I do appreciate also the ones that don't, that just watch all the episodes anyway. Anyway, so here's the first deck. I read the deck description title, so going over the cards, like, these guys pretty straightforward. They're the originals to help you go into this guy mostly, because it calls for specifically the 2 originals. So I think you need them, because I don't think any of them change their names. Do they? I don't think any of them change their names. Oh. No. Gaia the Fierce Knight card, but I think this wouldn't count because, like, it's just treated as a Gaia the Fierce Knight card, not actually as Gaia the Fierce Knight. So I believe, like, it still wouldn't be able to be used as fusion material, because it's worded in like a different way. Yeah, it doesn't look like any of these change their names to So that's why the originals are being played, because they kind of have to be in order to go into this guy. If you were just playing this deck on your own, you probably would opt to not even include this one, because like you really don't need it, since like a lot of these other ones treat themselves as Gaia the Dragon Chain, or at least, yeah, this one treats itself. This one's definitely the better one than this one. I just didn't have it because it was UR. But yeah, this one, yeah, these two definitely better than the original because they actually have effects, and they're still treated as monster. And then of course Blacklist Soldiers being used because there's so many high level monsters that you're able to easily get out on the field, so it'll be pretty easy to summon him. And he's got some pretty nice effects, gaining 1500 attack, making second attack, but it has to be during the battle phase of the next turn, so that way you can't just destroy another monster by battle to get to like use another one of its effects. But it's nice that the first and third effect are immediate, and I think that for that reason, I think they're the ones I use the most. Although it is kind of nice that during the battle phase of the next turn, like if you don't really need to use the first two effect, the first or third effect, you could always like go with the second effect if you're like willing to wait, and then you could potentially get 2 activations in one. Although if you did pick the second effect 2 times, it wouldn't do anything, because it can only make a second, because the way it's worded, this card can make a second attack. If it said additional attack, then you could stack it, but since it says second attack specifically, and that would kind of get kind of crazy if you could stack it, would be over time, so I'm not sure how crazy that would be, but it's good that they did either way. Although after you wait a turn, the whole second attack thing is kind of nice, because you could kind of just waste one of yours on that so that you get another second attack, and then you can like pick like the better ones on that second attack after you gained it. Maybe that effect could actually be useful, and although I don't think the Valkyrie, it's not Valkyrie, I forget what that one archetype, the one with the Time Goddess card, I think that like gives a second battle phase. I think it has a lot of restrictions though, so I'm not sure if it like would work out. Anyway, Artillery Catapult Turtle is there so you can special summon your other monsters that have good effects. A lot of these have effects on special summon, so you'll still be able to use them, or they have like on-field effects where it doesn't matter how they were summoned, so you would still be able to get their effects even if you special summon them off of the artillery. And what's nice is that you can distribute the Artillery Catapult Turtle itself, so that you could like get a special summon from the deck. But you don't have to. You could always tribute one of the other monsters, but I think most of the time you would just want to tribute off the Catapult Turtle itself. And then Gaia the Fierce Knight Origin. And I don't know if you're ever gonna care about the 2 tributes for the Tribute Summon Warrior, since like all your warriors have like easy ways to bring themselves out anyway without tributes. Yeah. And besides, a lot of the times you're just using them as like fodder for your fusion summon plays anyway, so I don't think I ever actually use that effect. It's mostly going to be used for its in-hand effect, allowing you like special summon itself. Although I guess it could come in handy since it did special summon itself if you really need it, but I mean, I think even, yeah, like in this kind of deck, you probably don't even care. Like, it's so easy to go into fusion plays. Curse of Dragonfire. Like, it's basically a fusion summon in a monster, which is nice. Gives you a few extra copies of your fusion spells. and it can like destroy your opponent's field spell if they're playing a really prevalent one. I think my opponent was playing Tune, so being able to destroy that was really good. But yeah, like other field spells are also prevalent. Like if you can destroy the True Draco's field spell, that's pretty good. It come in handy. It's kind of like an easier, well, in this kind of deck, it kind of works as an easier to summon Ancient Fairy Dragon. Like in the regard that destroys a field spell. And you can even pop Yone if you like want to do that for whatever reason. But in this deck you definitely don't want to pop it because it really helps you get advantage either by giving you basically it gives you the missing piece. The missing monster in your lineup for fusion plays. And then this helps you to search for spells and traps. So a lot of your spells and traps, it can search for this one, I believe. Yeah, it should be able to search for that. It should, I think it, yeah, it can search for the, yeah, really any of these spells or traps. This one, this one, this one. So like there's a lot of good options. Swift Gaia doesn't really have any relevant effects. You could probably just like put in whatever else if you were to run this deck yourself. This one is fine. It also kind of like works with the Artillery Catapult Turtle to give you even like more advantage. And it's kind of nice because it could I believe you can like opt to like chain this to the effect of Artillery Catapult Turtle, or maybe it's after the search, but it's really good if you can chain it to Artillery Catapult Turtle. But I don't think that's how it works. But if it does, that's pretty good because then you can like chain block the summon from the deck. Another special summon. And then also like it's a attack booster. I mean, puts it up at 3,000 attack. That's kind of nice. It's until the end of turn. Gaia the Magical Knight gets you like the dragon bit. So like if you bring it out, you can summon out the Curse of Dragonfire, and you can like bring it out by tributing off the Gaia the Fierce Knight. So like it can sometimes come in handy, but like I think a lot of the times you could probably just no summon it out without tributing. This one trades out one of your Dragon Fusions for this card. If you really need to change something to defense position, if your like fusion is like in danger of being destroyed, you could bring this out and get rid of and kind of like stall the monster that was trying to get rid of your fusion. Also, it allows you to add a level 7 or higher warrior. Hopefully it's not destroyed that turn so that you can get it, since this isn't a quick effect. The effect is search. And then Raigeki, Harpies, just general utility cards. Get rid of monsters, get rid of back row, special summon monsters for like it can special summon your fusions, it can special summon your regular monsters. It works with some of the monsters that get effects when they're special summon, they can get the effects again. Terraforming to get the field spell, which is a really nice field spell, so it's good that you have basically extra copies of it. Power of Extravagance. The reason why this deck is running all 3 ofs, to make sure that there's probably gonna be at least one of the cards you really want in there. Spiral Fusion. The fusion spell. Burning Land. Basically just try to only activate this if you don't control field spells, or otherwise it might not be a good idea, since like it's really only about like burning. Your field spell is more important. However, if you do have an additional copy of the field spell, it might be fine still. Although it is a hard once per turn, so you can't just like activate another one and try to pull off one of the effects again. However, if your opponent also has a field spell, it might still be worth playing it, even if you do. It's because I think I am playing against students. I'm not sure. We'll see in a second. Spiral Spear Strike is really nice because like none of its effects are once per turn. So if you get a guy, or actually, yeah, if you have a way of like attacking multiple times, or you have multiples of these, they're not a hard once per turn. So you can just draw 4 cards and then you discard 2. Like the first one activates, you draw 2 and then discard 1, and then the second one activates, draw 2 and discard 1. So I think in a like, if you were to play this deck yourself, I think this is definitely a 3 of. This is really good. I mean, the piercing of course won't stack because it can't, but the whole like drawing is really nice. Like this is like probably this is a really good draw spell. And like it's pretty easy to meet the requirements that you need Gaia the Dragon Champion, since like so many of your fusions are fairly easy, especially to fusion summon for, and quite a few of them. And this one's really good because it allows you to just add the Spiral Spear Strike from your deck or graveyard. So yeah, like you could pretty easily give yourself multiples. Although this is it not a hard once per turn? So if you can fusion summon multiples of these, you could potentially give yourself multiple Spiral Spear Strikes. And then also like if you have multiple of these, then it will activate for the first Gaia the Dragon Champion here, and it will also activate for the second Gaia Dragon Champion. And if you have multiples of these, that means you could end up drawing a ton of cards. Crazy. That's probably one of the most powerful things that this deck has. Pretty awesome. So I think like it's definitely also worth playing multiples of this card, even if you weren't playing Power of Extravagance, just because like if you special summon another one in the same turn, you just get another Spiral Spear Strike, and that's how you can have multiple Spiral Spear Strikes. And you would have multiple Gaia the Dragon Champions, allowing them to proc twice again. And I mean, if you give either of them an additional attack somehow, then you can proc it again. Man. Mirror Force gets rid of opponent's monsters. It's not bad. Like it's just not very good because your opponent could just destroy it before they enter battle. Although this could still kind of get decks can kind of catch opponent off guard. It's just a lot of the times your back row could be destroyed before you have a chance to activate it, or your opponent sets up a negate before you have a chance to activate it, and that's not really a risk you want to take. You'd rather play cards that actually can do something about your opponent's board immediately. Like summon limit is really good for that, etc. Like infinite permanence kind of, if you negate a really key effect. Beginning of Advent on Earth allows you to, basically what you want to do is, if you want to make sure that you actually get the ad, this is kind of stinks how this works. Because basically if you want to make sure you're getting an ad, you have to pick 3 different, you have to make sure that all of your picks are Blackluster Soldier and or Gaia the Fierce Knight monsters. Because if you even just pick one that's not, your opponent could just pick the one that's not, and now all of your cards are being sent to the graveyard, which kind of stinks. But I guess that's a way to make it so that you can't just like add a really strong warrior and make sure it's like on theme, like, yeah, like a really strong warrior that doesn't, that's not one of those. Kind of like incentivizes you to like actually play this in a Gaia the Fierce Knight and Blackluster Soldier deck, because you technically, oh wait, no, you have to have one of them be Blackluster Soldier, but you really want them all, if that makes sense. Anyway, Spiral Reborn for getting back the your dragon, since all of your dragons are level 7 or lower. They're lower than level 7, but yeah. And also this doesn't have to get back Gaia. So if you have if you're playing a lot of like level 7 or lower, maybe you could play this, although there's better like reborn effects. This works better like if you actually special summoning Gaia the one of your Gaia mons. Well, really it works the best if you special summon Gaia the Dragon Champion, which is why it says level 7 lower, because like it also makes it so that you can't actually special summon the fusions as well. The added benefit of like special summoning Gaia the Dragon Champion probably makes it worth running in a dedicated Gaia deck, even though there might be better, even though there are better like Grave Reborn options. Anyway, the added protection. Spiral Discharge. Yeah, this one is a hard once per turn, so no like having multiples and being able to get it off multiple times. It does destroy a card on the field, so that's pretty nice. If you have, it can still kind of help open up the Spiral Spear Strike if like, well actually it really doesn't matter, because like this is gonna have piercing anyway. Oh wait a minute. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, the fact that like it has to attack in a defense position monster with piercing kinda makes it a little bit hard for you to be able to like proc it multiple times, because like if like basically opponents going, since this is a hard once per turn to change a battle position. Oh wait, no, actually it's not, that's not a hard once per turn. So yeah, if you have multiples of these out and your opponent has multiple monsters, you could end up drawing a whole bunch of cards. But if your opponent doesn't have any monsters, or only had like one, like then your other monster like would pretty much have to get him for a direct attack, and that wouldn't proc the Spiral Spear Strike. So there are a few downsides, but I think there's enough upsides that you definitely still want to play 3, especially since it's so easily searchable with the Galloping Gaia. Like, and generally, like, searchable cards you want to play at a few copies. But this one, it really incentivizes you to play as many as you can. And then this one is called Curse of Dragon, the Magical Night Dragon. This one allows you to recurse spells and traps. So that's cool. Specific ones, but still the recursion is nice. That doesn't really say much except for the name. Just another extra name. Just in case you really need it. Like say if like you ban, like at least what this means, if you activate one Power of Extravagance and get super unlucky and like and banish like both of these fusions, like all 3 copies of these fusions, then you at least have like another Gaia the Dragon Champion in your deck. So there's that, I suppose. That's like very unlikely to happen, but also if you activate more than one, like there's like still like a pretty good chance that you'll still like have like Gaia the Dragon Champion in the deck with how many copies are. So basically just having names when playing Power of Extravagance, I guess, is pretty good, especially since Spiral Spear Strike, like you really want to be able to like proc this. Although it doesn't have the changing a monster to defense position effects, so it does make it a little bit harder to be able to get the Spiral Spear Strike effect. And I think in a, like when you're facing against like an all link deck, a player that like maybe like only puts up links, it does kind of also suck because then you can't even change that to defense. But like a lot of decks don't even do that. They're probably gonna have like at least one monster you can get in for piercing. And then this one, if you potentially have like if you can like find a way to be able to give it like more attack, actually, like if you destroy an opponent's monster by battle with this first, you could use it once during main phase 2 to destroy one card on the field and still have the 2600 attack, either to use again maybe during the opponent's turn. Actually, oh, it's not. Oh, it is a hard once per turn. So you could either like use the other time right away during the opponent's turn, or you could save it to try to get another attack, another destroying opponent's monster battle, and then basically keeping at 2600, so you can like, or like after you like destroy something, so that you can like activate this multiple times. But sometimes you will just have to give in and like have it go to 0 attack in order to like destroy something really crucial. But you could give it extra attack via other ways if you really wanted to try to get another destroyer battle. But anyway, this, and then I kind of went over the Blacklist Soldier of Chaos, so that'll be good there. Yeah, now go to the opponent's deck. Oh, it's not. But still, the Giant Ballpark is also a pretty good field spell, so being able to have ways of destroying this isn't too bad. Anyway, the Super Evolution of Insects is the deck's name, and the deck description is a deck that focuses on special summoning high-level insect monsters with Parasite Paranoid and Cocoon of Ultra Evolution. Special summon a swarm of normal monsters and send insect monsters to the graveyard by utilizing the effect of Giant Ballpark, which is this card. But I'll go over this one later. So this deck has normal monsters in it, but it is for a good reason, which I'll go over like a little bit later on. But first, the first effect monster is Max C. Really good hand trap in general. Especially good in this deck since like you do have ways of being able to search for it. I think the Resonance Insect can search for this, which is like, I mean, not the Resonance Insect, the Retaliating Sea. So maybe if you really wanted to play the Retaliating Sea as well, you would have a way to search for it. Although, like, it is also nice since it has like such an easy discard ability. like basically that you can proc any time, even if you don't think your opponent's going to be special summoning at all. Even if you're playing against the Floundries, you still probably want to send this off to the graveyard, because insects like to have their cards in the graveyard for various reasons, which I'll be showing off later on. This one equips itself to a target, and I think you want to have it equipped to your opponent's monster. Oh yeah, because it can attack insects, it becomes an insect, and its effects and specific effects are negated. But you could also equip it if you know, like, you're equipping it to something that you're going to be able to destroy pretty easily, because then you just get to special summon a level 7 or higher insect monster and from your hand. So you probably just want to wait until, like, you do have the level 7 or higher, so you can basically be able to get that effect. And you probably do want to, like, attach it to something that you know you're going to be able to destroy right away, just to make sure that you can get the level 7 or higher monster out of the hand. Although if you need it for the fact that, like, it can attack, and like maybe it have prevalent effects that actually fit the bill, like it can also be used for that. So, but mostly like using it for the fact that you can special summon something. And then Goki Pool is the reason why you have the normal monsters, because this has an added effect when sent to a graveyard. You really want to just add a normal monster so that you can special summon it right away and destroy a monster with higher attack than it. And you're having monsters with different attacks, and then you can like add whichever one you want to the hand depending on how high of attack you destroy. Like if there's something with a little bit lower attack, you can bring the Goki Boy, and there's something with a little bit higher attack, you can bring out the Sea Squatter, so you can have like more stats. Although I think when like I think a lot of like these insect stacks that actually play Goki Pool are probably only going to be using the Sea Squatter. And sometimes it's going to kind of stink like having a little bit higher of attack, but I think like most of the time, like there's probably going to be something with over 2,000 attack on the field. And then Cross Sword Beetle for piercing. Gives all your monsters piercing, which could come in handy. Resonance Insect adds your high level monsters so you can make sure you have something special summon off the Paranoid. And if it's banished, you get to send an insect from your deck to graveyard, which is a way you can proc Goki Pool. Or if you don't need Goki Pool at the time being, you could always send one of your other insects. Maybe if you want to make sure you have better draws, you could send one of your high level insects. Or if like some of these, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe you could just send one of the like the high level insects that you don't care as much about to the graveyard, so to maybe make sure you get better draws. Or you just send like an insect you don't care about to just be banished by the Doomdozer. Or maybe even send another copy of Resonance Insect, since it doesn't actually have a once per turn clause anywhere on it. Wow. Oh wait, but it does have to be sent from field to graveyard, so never mind about that. Although it is pretty cool that it doesn't have a hard once per turn or anything to it. So that means like if you can like you could proc multiples of these in the same turn. That's pretty nice. Insect Princess. I guess once you like make a lot of your monsters insects, a lot of your opponent's monsters insects, you change them to attack, this one makes an insect, so potentially you could equip this to like a really low attack monster on your opponent's side of the field. Like that would change defense to then force it to attack again. And then also it gains 5 on attack if it destroys an insect monster in battle. Although I don't know how often you'll actually be it also works nicely with this, because this one actually, wait, no, this one doesn't even special summon anything to your opponent's side of the field. So I'm not exactly sure how easy it would be to get the effects off here, but there might be like a few other cards that can like help work with it. Oh crap. Anyway, I just forgot to like reset the timer to make sure I don't go over. Okay, I'll just try to hurry. So perfectly ultimate great moth. Probably not really the what. Well, actually, you're not actually gonna be bringing this out with that effect. Like petite moth isn't even in here. Instead, it's really nice that Cocoon of Ultra Evolution is a thing, because this just lets you like bypass summoning conditions, so it makes this once bad card actually not too bad. Although the fact that it doesn't have any attacks, like, still kind of any prevalent effects. I don't know, like, if you just need a really high attack beta, could be worth going for. Although you're probably gonna want to have better options. Like, I think this one is a pretty good option here. Since it can potentially attack multiple times, assuming your opponent has multiple monsters. Doom Dozer sends mills your opponent just a little bit. Although this was like pretty prevalent. Wait. Actually, I don't know how that went. This was pretty prevalent in the I forget, that one ritual based deck where the ritual that destroyed all cards on the field by paying 2,000 life points. You clear the board and then you can like have like this, and then I think the reason why Doom Dozer was being played alongside it was simply for the fact that it had a high attack, so you could get in with like 2 high attack monsters. Yeah. Although you do need to be make sure that you have insects in your graveyard. And then Super Armored Robot Armed Black Iron C. Basically gives you like equip stuff with its own effects so that it can like be able to proc its other effect, allowing you to destroy all monsters your opponent controls with attack greater equal to attack the monster. So it's probably worth it to try to pick lower attack monsters just to make sure that you can't actually destroy stuff, and maybe even like equipping monsters like the Resonance Insect that actually get the effects procced when they're sent from the field to the graveyard. Raigeki again, like destroying opponent's monsters. Really nice for like when you like just need an empty board for getting in for game. Hoppy's Feather Duster destroys a back row just to make sure that your opponent that the monsters are able to get in. Monster Reborn, just an in general good card for pretty much a lot of decks, as long as the deck's not filled with monsters that can't be special summoned. Or like I guess decks that like pretty much have all the monsters just being banished all the time. Although it's not really that great, just for the fact that a lot of the decks nowadays, like already can create like pretty good board like recursion on their own in archetype. Terraforming to add the giant ballpark, and giant ballpark is another way to send off your insect monsters, either to help make your draws a little bit better, or to send like something like Goki Pool for destroying stuff. And what's really nice is that you can proc this yourself simply by attacking as something that has really low attack into maybe something that either has really high attack or ideally something that has really high defense. And then you also would take no bow damage, so it really doesn't matter how much damage you would have been taking by doing that, because you just make the bow damage 0 anyway. Or, I mean, if you're getting in for a direct attack, you could forego the damage there to get the mill instead. Although it is like important to like think about how like much you really want to be doing that, because like if you do that enough, like maybe you could have like gone game a lot earlier, and that could cost you like if you like forgo damage enough. And then Cocoon of Ultra Evolution. I kind of talked about this, but it has to be an insect equipped with an equip card, which is another reason why this is kind of good, that equips cards to it, because then you can just like tribute off. But also Parasite Paranoid is nice, because you can also because this will allow you to tribute off your opponent's monster to get rid of a monster that like has like destruction immunity, or even like targeting immunity too, because it doesn't even target. So that's cool. You could basically trade off an opponent's monster to get out one of your higher level insects. And then Layer Wire simply just destroys by banishing an insect, so it's pretty easy to destroy. Although there's a lot of other cards that like also I think destroy, so not really like, I don't know how neat it is. Although it is nice that like you can like basically activate this anytime, because you'll probably have like an insect, so I don't know if it's like good or not. Another thing that can act as an equip card for the Cocoon of Ultra Evolution, basically. And then it's a field debuff too, I guess, is a little bit of a bonus, but mostly just cocoon fodder. Number 20, Giga Brilliant. And then here's Zach's deck. It's filled with a bunch of insect monsters. That's basically a theme here. Making sure that the graveyard is pretty much always stocked with insects for either Doom Dozer or Layer Wire. And maybe insects, so that you can like make sure you have something to be able to tribute off for the cocoon. This one simply just like field buff, a self, yeah, including itself too. Cicada King, special summon insect whenever its battle position is changed. And you can just change its own battle position with its own effect. So if you want to get in for an attack, I guess you could like put in defense. Like basically, if you're planning to change its battle, actually you could put it into attack with it, and then during main phase 2 you could like activate its effect and like then be able to put into defense to proc its ability, and also like be able to defend during your opponent's turn with it, since it has a higher defense. Malevolent Sin for getting rid of opponent's monsters temporarily. Though this is pretty good against Exceed, since they would lose their Exceed material. And maybe mess up like link markers a little bit by like special because I think your opponent gets to choose where it's put, but if they really want in the extra monster zone, it can kind of mess that up. Pain gainer. You can go into it using a rank 8, 9, or 10. So I don't know how you would go into it. You don't have any 8, 9, or 10s. I don't know. I don't know how you're gonna go into this, but if you can, maybe, I don't know. I don't even know how you go into it. You don't have any. Oh well, there's probably some way. I have no idea how you even go into this. Though it does at least have some pretty nice like as a pretty nice defense buff if like you have a lot of like rings. And it does kind of self, so at least like, so that's already like 2200 right there. And it also burns the opponent every time they activate a spell trap, so if destroy. So it's got pretty good effects. I'm not sure how you're gonna go into it. Insecta Picoflana is another way you can get an equip. This is really nice because you can like bring it out of the X deck and make sure like have pretty easy access to a way you can equip, and then you can just send her to the graveyard with a cocoon to get one of the high attack monsters, or you can just link off with her, and either way it's gonna proc the. You're probably gonna be wanting to equip it with either Resonance or a Goki Pool, so you can proc those effects. And then also it has a nice like little like shuffle back, draw a card if you want to reuse some of your insects, some of your high level insects or some of your low level insects. You can also shuffle back the Maxi, which is probably one of the best ones to shuffle back to maybe be able to draw into it again. Shinobi Insect Haga Kurumino. Anytime a monster you control will be destroyed by battle card effect, you get to trade that out for another monster that's level 4 lower. So at least it helps you like recur some advantage a little bit. Although if they're destroying one of your high level monsters, you won't be able to get that back out again, which kind of stinks. Though I think you would be able to get out the same monster that was destroyed as long as it's level 4 or lower. And then Seraphim. If you do want to leave it on the field, you can potentially be able to special summon a level 4 or lower insect. Which is kind of good because like you can potentially be able to like special summon out a lot with it. Though like you can't like special summon something out with it because you would need to be able to place the counters first, and since you can like only use one, and it does lose 200 attack every time a counter is moved, though it's probably worth it for like the field advantage you would gain off of that. So this is pretty much a deck right here. If anyone else would like to share their thoughts on either the decks, maybe maybe what cards you could like replace to make the deck a little bit better if you were to play it yourself, or play either the decks yourself, or if you would like to like if maybe you have like maybe I don't know questions about the deck, I could try to answer them if to the best of my ability. Quite a few of these decks I don't really play myself though, so do be warned about that. Although maybe like someone else like who really likes to play these kinds of decks can help you out. I don't know how much this pertains to the overviews, but maybe like it, like going over them inspire people to play these, and like that can bring up questions, so it kind of fits. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and go into the outro now. Thank you all who stayed for the deck overviews, either one of them or even both of them. I don't have time for a pack opening, unfortunately, and I'll just leave the make sure to leave the verse in the description below. Okay, I know I'm never gonna have time for pack openings or verses whenever I do these deck overviews, just because like I want to take my time going through the decks. Anyway, going through the outro. Please like, share, and subscribe, and consider ringing that notification bell for regular content. You can either ring the notification bell to be notified of all my videos, or personalized by simply clicking the notification bell and selecting all or personalized. All is being notified about all my videos, whether you watch them or not, and personalized is being notified of the videos that you watch the most. Also, if you would like to leave a comment, that would be greatly appreciated. You can leave a comment about anything, either pertaining to the video, pertaining to the verse I leave in the description, or just something random if you'd like. Just please keep it appropriate. You can even leave an emote if you would like, but just be aware that it may lock you out if you paste too many of the same emote in a day, just in case like if you decide one day you just paste emotes on a whole bunch of my videos. Just keep that in mind. Usually you can fix that by either going with a different emote or by posting multiples of that emote instead of just the one. And thank you everyone who do watch my videos, and a big thanks to those who do watch all of my videos, but still thank you to everyone who only watches a couple once in a while, or just watches one of the games. I understand how it is, no matter how you do it. It's just appreciated, no matter what, no matter how you decide to go about viewing my videos.